NASCAR just did the unbelievable. Wednesday night, about an hour before the start of qualifying for the Daytona 500, NASCAR filed a 68-page appeal saying that a federal judge made a mistake when he recognized 2311 Motorsports and Front Row Motorsports as authorized teams for 2025. The two teams are now suing over antitrust claims. In December, U.S. District Judge Kenneth Bell of the Western District of North Carolina issued a preliminary injunction that let 2311 and Front Row get the same rewards as a chartered team while the case was being processed by the courts. Last month, Judge Bell turned down NASCAR's request to throw out the case. He also turned down NASCAR's request that the two groups post a bond to cover any money they get paid as sponsored teams and would have to return if 2311 and Front Row lose the case. NASCAR wrote that the district court's injunction orders break federal antitrust law, don't follow the established rules for preliminary injunctions, and don't take into account legally important evidence that hasn't been rebutted. They also have big effects on NASCAR's 2025 Cup Series season. These injunctions misuse the judicial power to force NASCAR to treat its litigation adversaries as its business partners and confidants, undermining the mutual trust that has fueled NASCAR's growth and success. The appeal was filed on Wednesday, which was a court-ordered deadline, even though it happened just 1 hour before the time trials for Sunday's season-opening Daytona 500. NASCAR doesn't say anything about the case in public. NASCAR has said that it will defend itself against antitrust claims and thinks that 2311 and Front Row have a weak case. The teams don't agree with the terms of the charter agreement and were the only ones of the 15 organizations that didn't sign the forms when NASCAR made its take-it-or-leave-it offer 48 hours before the playoffs started last season. NASCAR doesn't think that not liking the terms of a contract is an antitrust case and is ready to see the case through to the end. If 2311 and Front Row win, NASCAR is likely to get rid of the charter system completely instead of negotiating new ones. The two team owners refused to sign a new charter with better terms, even though every other team owner did. This raised concerns about a number of rules, but not the mutual releases, NASCAR wrote. NASCAR eventually withdrew its offers to plaintiffs and moved forward with planning its 2025 Cup Series season without them as chartered teams. So 2311 and Front Row turned to the courts, attempting to transform the charter's standard release provision into a trump card to belatedly secure, outside of negotiations, the charters they regretted rejecting, even though neither team owner ever raised that provision as an issue in 2 years of charter negotiations. With neither the facts nor the law on their side, 2311 and Front Row argue it violates the Sherman Act for sports enterprises to include such standard releases in their agreements. The district court took the bait. The deals that teams asked for and got in 2016 are what's at stake. A charter makes sure that every car that signs up has a spot in the field every week, along with prize money and other financial rewards. Each race has 36 guaranteed spots, plus 4 open spots for cars that don't have charters. Due to the fact that 2311 and Front Row did not sign the charter deals, NASCAR thinks they should be open cars. NASCAR also didn't want to let the two teams buy charters from the now-defunct Stewart-Haas Racing. Each team bought one charter to add 3 cars to their organizations. If Bell hadn't given the injunction to accept the two teams as chartered for 2025, all 6 cars from the two groups would not have been automatically entered into the Daytona 500. Tyler Reddick, who won the regular season last year, Riley Herbst, and Bubba Wallace all drive Toyotas for 2311. Front Row field Fords for Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland, and Noah Gragson. NASCAR stated in its brief Wednesday, the court's order included both the newly requested relief as well as additional relief never even requested by plaintiffs, that NASCAR approved 2311's purchase of a charter from SHR. Among the impact of the preliminary injunction, NASCAR stated is the fact that plaintiffs can now obtain charters months after NASCAR withdrew its best and final offers, and on different terms that plaintiffs prefer, is significant for NASCAR and NASCAR competitors. After plaintiffs declined to sign the charters, NASCAR recalculated race purses, reassessed the number of available race positions, and communicated these updated details to 2025 Cup Series participants. By securing charters, plaintiffs have hit the jackpot. More races and more prize money, even though they deliberately declined NASCAR's now withdrawn final offers, and other teams had already begun strategizing for a 32-charter 2025 Cup Series season. At this point, NASCAR would prefer to extend the perks of the 2025 charter to owners committed to enhancing NASCAR's competitiveness with other sports for fans, sponsors, and media dollars, rather than owners that undermine NASCAR's brand and seek advantages over other owners in charter terms. Even so, Hamlin doesn't seem to be bothered. Denny Hamlin will start his 20th full-time NASCAR Cup season in Sunday's Daytona 500. Many drivers have had a tough time in this race, but Hamlin seems to be having no trouble at all. Hamlin has a connection to the Daytona 500 that other drivers can only wish they had. He has won 3 of the past 15 500s and was back-to-back winner in 2019 and 2020. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Larson are just a few of the well-known drivers who have never won the biggest race in stock car racing. Also, Tony Stewart, Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd, who are all in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, have never won the 500. Hamlin got off to a good start on Wednesday by setting the fastest time in the first practice session of the week, which was 187.480 miles per hour. He said on Wednesday that the way people try to win the 500 has changed because of changes in car styles and other things. All of the things that I grew up trying to learn to be really, really good at, that is, foot on the gas, trying to figure this thing out, get to the front at all costs, that is the opposite of how you become successful in the next-gen superspeedway racing, he said. It is how that I can slow down more to give my pit crew less time on pit road. How do I get on and off pit road? On the racetrack, I feel dialed in, just as I did in the old race car. It is all of the other things in how races are won that I've got to get better at in the next-gen era. I tried to figure out what it would mean to win one, and I didn't have any idea until I won one, and I didn't have any idea until after I won 2, what 2 meant. It is all really, really hard to put into words, but the attention when you come back, you are in an elite class of drivers that have won this multiple times. It is just one of those things that stays on your resume forever. Hamlin is still trying to win the Cup title that he has been denied every season. He will race all year even though his 2311 team and Front Row Motorsports have sued NASCAR for antitrust violations. The lawsuit has gotten a lot of attention in sports and around the world. NASCAR is run by the France family, and Jordan, Hamlin, and the owners of Front Row Motorsports say that the sport has anti-competitive and exclusionary practices that are unfair to teams, drivers, sponsors, and fans, as Jordan put it. The most important problems have to do with NASCAR's charter system, which makes sure that teams with 36 charters start every race. Last fall, 2311 and Front Row chose not to sign the renewal of the charter agreement. This started what has become a major legal fight. A federal court agreed to 2311 and Front Row's request for a preliminary injunction last December. This meant that the teams could keep their charter status until the lawsuit trial in December. In 20 years, I've tried my best to form change in a positive manner for the sport, one that I love, Hamlin said. I aspired to be here when I was a kid, but sometimes there's strain that comes with change. Unfortunately, things just came to a head, and we had to exercise our legal action to make it happen. This offseason was all about ownership and off-track stuff. We've been very fortunate the way the timing has gone, and when court proceedings have been scheduled. For now, I'm a straight driver. There's nothing I need to do the next few months while things proceed. I can focus on being a driver. It's already a spectacle to see an international sports star like Jordan test NASCAR in the courts. Now Hamlin has to race in 36 events, manage his own team, and try to live with NASCAR in what is, at best, an awkward position. How does he think NASCAR will treat him in the pits and on the track because of problems he had off the track? I'm confident we'll get a fair shake, and we're looking forward to presenting our case, Hamlin said. What do you think? Will they win their case or settle in the end, especially after the latest move by NASCAR and the France family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.